Hi and welcome back to Thirst Time. In this video I wanted to address my thoughts on higher education, college, university, depending on where you are, what you will call it. In my opinion, I finished a course and I've said to myself, looking at the cost of it, I'm not going to do this again. I didn't get anything out of it. So this video is not really about shitting on universities as institutions, although partially so. I think it's about expectations, and I think, there's so much pressure. So, you go to school because you have to, and then you're told that the goal is to go to university. That's like the high achiever. So you're kind of institutionalized to prop up these businesses. Often it's families as well that are there guiding you because you're growing up when you have set your sights on university. And just, of course, general social and cultural messaging saying that university is where it's at. So there's a lot of pressure to go to university, and I think, in our parents' time, what university could bring you was probably a lot different than what it is nowadays. You had gates that were open with less people to pass through, so there was less competition. I could be dead wrong, but that's what my thoughts are without doing any research. And that's a whole other annoying thing about universities, is that you can't have your own ideas. You're not allowed to have your own ideas. You have to reference things all the time. So you are limited to approved only ideas. And so I find that you lose trust in your own abilities to have ideas, or you lose practice. You don't get any practice to search within yourself, discover within yourself, and try to explain yourself to others and make it make sense. So I find that probably a really disappointing thing about universities. So that's one thing that's really annoying. And then people that are employed in universities, that are employed in colleges, that do test their own ideas and hypotheses and do all the research and all that. I've read so many articles that are just based on the most basic, obvious things that really didn't require research. For example, one I can think of is general attitudes towards homosexuality in Turkey are more negative than in the United Kingdom. I'm sorry. Seriously sorry. Did you seriously have to go to university and do all that study, get all this commission money to prove something that is kind of inconsequential? It's common knowledge. What are you going to do with that? Oh, you proved it at a university. Who's looking at that? What is the point of that? Seriously, it was just what a waste of time. And I guess I really need to preface this is that you're watching an arts student drop out, arts and letters. I studied languages as an undergrad. I dropped out. You could say languages and history and literature. Thankfully, I got to use them being a language teacher overseas, so that was a tick. No regrets there. Then I came back. No, I did try and do business to try and kind of get into a workspace. Dropped out of that because my maths is at a 13-year-old level. Maybe if it was in somewhere like China, a 7-year-old level. And that's just the way it is. So business, statistics and all that did not work out for me. Then I did a communications degree, professional writing, publication. I really enjoyed it. I really got a lot out of it. I learned about visual culture, I learned about art history, and I had deadlines to make sure I do some creative writing, because left to my own devices, I was not doing anything, and I wanted to. So I did that. That was cool, and then I wanted to do some personal projects with, following that. And they did not happen. Plenty of excuses. And then I was like, you know what, I'll try and do something businessy. So I did, what was my thing called? It was I only graduated recently. Postgrad. It sounded okay. I literally cannot remember. It was so shit and unmemorable and such a waste of money. Basically, I studied intercultural communication. Oh, it was business psychology. Yeah, it was something along the lines of business psychology. But one unit was about intercultural communication and how it's disproven as a theory nowadays because we're multicultural. So I'm why teach me something if it's all about breaking it down? It's so unconstructive. Another one was about consumer psychology, which was boring. Okay, red doesn't always make me angry. I don't know if blue makes me calm. Okay, really? Really? All that to say, unless I was on a fast track for a promotion with my company, or I was really hard and hungry to, climb the ladder and kiss all that ass to get where I wanted to go, unless I'm doing those things, the certificate on their own is not going to be enough to open any doors. And in other times, through my interactions, I've met people that do go back to study, but it's because their employer has that job for them. So it really makes sense to do that. In those situations, it makes sense. In situations where you're dependent on qualifications from a university or college, such as zoology, optometry, dentistry, medicine. I understand the law, of course, has to be that way for it. I don't know why. All those things that are really geared towards a job, fine. But if you're doing an arts degree, my opinion is there's only so much you can do. I really learned a lot about unis when you don't know much. It opens your doors. It really teaches you discipline, getting things done, driving yourself, and those are really, really important skills. You shouldn't have to spend all that money to learn those skills, and that is the real crux of it, is if you're not a self-motivated person, you can do your course, but once you finish your course, if you don't maintain that self-motivation, you're kind of wasting your time. The only thing I can say is that studying and undertaking a course and completing a course, you will build those skills over time, and that is why university is useful. But after having done an undergraduate arts degree, a postgraduate social sciences degree, I'm just like, I'm not going to do any more. And the real reason for that is that I don't have the time to study it. So you're just really like ticking boxes, trying to make it look like you've read, trying to make it look like you know what you're talking about to prove it, because you're trying to do the most in the least amount of time. I would really love to study ancient history, so European history, pre-medieval times and all that. But there's no point in my working life. I have the goal to go and be an undergrad when I retire, and go really slowly and learn all that stuff and be in that community with those ideas. Sounds fantastic. But in the meantime, if you're not at home reading those books, what's the point? Currently, one of my hobbies is obviously this video editing, content creation, and music production. And there are courses I can do. But what's the point in just doing a course if I'm not sitting at home doing it? And I guess that's what I've learned, is I've said it to myself before, if I'm not reading those books, why am I going to go and study them? Because I'm just flicking through. And I guess for that reason, that's why I will not be going back to college or university during my working life. Who has the time for that? It's time now for me to be self-motivated to actually put into practice the things that I've learned. I don't think that university is a complete waste of time. It teaches you discipline, can teach you critical thinking, but where it really falls flat is that it teaches you what to think about. You have to follow the journal articles, what other people say. You can't have your own ideas, so it really does stifle creation. I think it can really kill your confidence, just turn you into a drone or a hive bot, whatever it is. That's not good. All I can say is get your degree if you have to, if you don't know what else to do, but it's not the solution. Don't keep going back. At some point you have to do things on your own and read those books yourself. You don't have to pay whatever price it is to have someone else to tell you to read it, and then you're just skimming through to meet the deadlines. It's not what good education's about. Sadly, we can't make someone else do it for us, but on the flip side, what is great is all that information is out there for free. That's where I'm at. I will pay off my college debt slowly and be free. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and look forward to seeing you in the next video.